Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Wednesday, March 12th. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and we've got back in the house Perlo once again to join us to help break down the Wednesday NHL card. We'll recap Tuesday night first, and Aaron said it right in the chat as far as the results of the night for me. Meh. That's what it was. It was kind of a meh, kind of a night overall as far as the outcomes. It started with Columbus, New Jersey. That's a perfect example. A win some, lose some kind of game. Columbus money line, no good, but Columbus team total over and the full game over hits for me. So actually that game wasn't too bad, but New Jersey with the 5-3 win. This continues to be the issues for Columbus. Defensively on a consistent basis, how do they play? And their road play continues to be less than stellar. I mean, you look at this road trip. They beat the Rangers. All right, that's not a big deal. And you play Tampa, Florida, New Jersey, 3 playoff teams. On the road, you lose them all. So that's where Columbus is still falling short right now. They lose 5-3 to the Devils last night in that one. Credit to New Jersey now. That's back-to-back wins while still playing without some very key pieces, obviously, when you're talking about Dougie Hamilton and Jack Hughes. Not to mention Siegenthaler. He's one of their better defenders. He's been out for a long time. Nobody's talking about him as much as the other two guys. They miss him as well. But New Jersey gets the win there, 3-2. Pittsburgh in overtime beats Vegas 3-2. They get redemption for getting blanked by Vegas in Sin City last Friday night. Nice win there for Pittsburgh in that one. Ottawa, I did jump on Ottawa, thank goodness, because I would have been so pissed if I saw Ottawa there at -115 and did not back them. And had they won, but I said, I got to take them. It feels like this line is way too short, and it turned out Ottawa it was too short. Ottawa gets the job done, 5-2 against Philadelphia. The only hesitation for me was a huge win against Detroit, and then which was like a playoff game. And then you're going on the road on a back-to-back. Was it maybe a flat spot? No flat spot. Ottawa played well. They took care of business against a team they should beat, and the struggles continue for John Tortorella and the Philadelphia Flyers now, who lose once again 5-2 to the Sens. That was a good game. Ottawa in the over. I had over 5.5 there in that. So that game treated me well. This one did not. Florida and Boston, because I took a shot with over 5.5. It was the only bet, thinking that the loss of Ekblad would impair things defensively. Actually, that part of the handicap was true. What we did not expect was Florida to kind of get shut down. They only scored 2 goals. You got to give Boston. They played hard defensively in that game. They really did. They blocked shots. They got in the shooting lanes. They made it difficult for the Panthers to get to the front of the net, and Jeremy Swayman was there to make the big saves when he had to in that game. What a win for Boston. How about these last couple games for the Bruins? I mean, they trade everyone away. Marchand, Carlo, Frederick, Coyle, all of these mainstays gone, and here they are beating Tampa and Florida, the 2 of the best teams in the Atlantic Division in back-to-back games. Unbelievable stuff. And Boston played hard. And both games that they won, the Lightning and the Flames guys, they played really fucking hard. And it tells me that this roster, even though there's been a lot of turnover, and it's probably not as good on paper as they once did, sometimes a little elbow grease and a little hard work and a little passion can beat talent sometimes. And kind of saw that last night with the Bruins against the Panthers. And you can tell Florida, it'll be a bit of an adjustment for them without Aaron Ekblad. That is a huge void on the blue line for them. But a great win for Boston. What a comeback to be down in that game and win 3-2. And then it got nasty at the end. Bennett and Zadorov had this huge thing going on throughout the whole game. And then it came to a head. They dropped. I give Bennett credit. He's fearless because it was a huge size mismatch, and he still took on the big man, Nikita Zadorov. Got his ass kicked, but I applaud how brave he was, Bennett, in that situation. But huge win for Boston. And I was saying in our group chat, how crazy a world. What a world we live in when Leafs fans are cheering for the Boston Bruins. But that's exactly what we saw last night as they're battling Florida for top spot. The rest of the games, very disappointing from the Tampa Bay Lightning. This was a bad call on my part. 4-1 Carolina. Carolina, here they are. I mean, everyone's ripping them apart for the trade deadline and what happened, and now they've ripped off 2 wins against Winnipeg, Tampa Bay. They played solid. Pyotr Kochetkov with a solid game. And look, Carolina just didn't find the back of the net. They got contributions from 4 different goal scorers. So credit to the Carolina Hurricanes there with the 4-1 win. Thank goodness I kept the over by a system play game because Tampa was off a shutout loss. Thank goodness I kept it small. And I said I was worried about it. And sure enough, it was a first period and full game under in that game. Minnesota, we were hearing about the bad travel situation for Colorado, and they fall to it. 2-1 Minnesota. They get the win in a shootout, much needed for the Wild as they had been kind of slumping. But a nice win there, taking advantage of definitely the schedule being in their favor. Winnipeg, not pretty. I hope for more goals from them than 2 against the New York Rangers, but we did at least cash the Jets in regulation. They beat the New York Rangers 2-1. They did have a goal called back as well. Washington 7-4 against Anaheim. Anaheim played hard, but man, they didn't play as hard as Boston, a team obviously on the defensive end because they had their issues, too many odd man rushes. When Anthony Beauvillier is scoring a breakaway against you, it's a bad night defensively, and that's what we saw from last night. Tough night. They kind of let those stalls hang out to dry there. It's true. I mean, that was a rough game defensively from Anaheim, and that's what Washington can do. We were all hoping for Ovechkin to get that last goal into the empty net, but instead he was very selfless. He was selfish to us. He was selfless to his team, though. Passed the puck instead to Alexei Protas so that Protas could get a hat trick with that empty net goal. So tells you what kind of teammate he is. 7-4 Washington with the win against Anaheim. Montreal was one of the good results for me. We had Montreal money line and team total over. They almost blew it. It got 3-0, became 3-2, but they hung on. Vancouver made a big push. You could tell Tocchet was going to be pissed about the first 2 periods because they were down 3-0. They looked terrible. He said something. He kicked some garbage cans. He ripped off some F-bombs. Something happened in that second intermission because Vancouver did push real hard in the 3rd period, and they were taking it to Montreal. But the Canadians hang on, and they get the 4-2 win in that one against Vancouver. LA with a 4-1 win against the Islanders. Just ineptitude on the power play for the Islanders. Are you shitting me? 8 power plays and you don't score once? That's just awful for the New York Islanders. 8 power plays. They don't score 1 goal on it. And it got to the point where we're all hoping that Patrick Waugh, once it got to 4-1, he pulled the goalie with 5 minutes to go. He probably would have pulled the goalie earlier, but LA just went on a penalty parade, so he didn't need to pull the goalie. But then he did. They got the 4-1 goal from Doughty. We were hoping they'd pull him again, but at that point, I was saying Waugh's probably like, fuck you guys. You're not doing anything when I pull the goalie. You don't ever score for me when I pull this goalie. I'm done. It's I think it's probably too that it was 4-1 with a minute left. That probably played a role, but at the same time, like they don't do anything, the Islanders. When have they scored goals when he's pulled this goalie early? I can't remember off the top of my head. They always get scored on when he pulls the goalie that early. So he probably got frustrated, but nevertheless, 4-1. The good news is the team total that Alex did cash with the Kings there. Over 3.5 in that one. And last but not least, this game was the game that turned this could have been a winning night for me, and it turned it into a little bit slight losing night because of this result. The Nashville-San Jose over by Fecta falling short. This was frustrating. There were chances, unfortunately, scoreless after 1. And then an explosion in the 3rd. We get to 3-2 with like 10 minutes left. Tons of time to at least get 3-3 or 4-2 and a chance for more. And no, that was it. And it ends 3-2 in favor of Nashville staying under the total. Predators get the win there in that one. Alex, your thoughts on Tuesday?
Yeah, just some close calls and some tough results. Like I said, starting with that LA and Islanders game. Love the team total spot, but also love that third period over, I should say, team total with LA. We get 1 goal, couldn't get the second. Like I said, there was just tons of penalties taken by LA. And it works both ways. LA has got to play better disciplined hockey late in games, and then the Isles have to capitalize when you get power plays. So it was just a sloppy mess to end that contest. A lot of games kind of had sloppy finishes at the end. Florida blowing that lead to Boston, was hoping for Florida tie, send that into overtime and get a shot there too, because I had that Florida tied in with the the over 5.5. So the parlay looks that I've kind of combined, something that I'll be looking a little bit further with some of these bigger favorites. I did cash one with Washington by way of Alexei Protas. I had him just to get a point. Of course, he goes off and gets a hat trick. But tying that in with Capitals money line, knocking that, what was it, minus 190, almost $2 favorite to a plus 145, plus 150 ticket. So that's something I'll be looking to do a little bit more with some of these bigger favorites moving forward, combining them with some of these, hotter point streaks, goal streaks to kind of get a better price.
All right, Perlo, your thoughts on last night?
Yeah, I mean, I had a good night, mostly because of that information we got on Colorado. I slammed Minnesota, but I already had the under, so I put more on the under there because if Minnesota was going to win, it wasn't going to be an over, that's for sure. So I went with Minnesota big time on that. My best bet yesterday was LA in regulation. The Islanders, even when they beat San Jose, the only reason why they won is that scheduling spot for San Jose was just stupid. So I didn't see that they had enough.
I only stayed off LA because of the price, but yeah, to me that was LA or nothing. Yeah.
And when Patrick Roy starts pulling goaltenders like that, he's trying to send a message to his team to care. Okay, can you show me you care here? And they don't. They don't. The Islanders just don't care right now. They lost their friend in a trade, and that really hurt them. That was a really tight team. Lamoriello talks about it all the time. It is a family there, and losing a guy like that was really hard on them emotionally. So I was all over LA in that game. And as far as the Edmonton spot yesterday, I was with you on the team total over there for Edmonton. And that spot reminded me when I played the Pittsburgh game that Vegas had to do basically the same thing, 4.5-hour flight, time change and everything. And I thought Pittsburgh might have a chance here. So I took the under because if Pittsburgh was going to win that again, that's going to be an under, not an over, likely to me. So I ended up switching to an under, and I took Pittsburgh in the first period. So all of those bets put me in the green yesterday. It turned out to be a pretty darn good day, but overall yesterday for me. But a lot of it came from information that I got from you guys.
Pittsburgh's won 2 in a row now. They're one of those weird teams. Like they're going to have some games where they get absolutely ripped apart and destroyed and look terrible, and then there's going to be games they sneak up on somebody and beat them. Yeah, you don't expect it. They're going to be one of those weird, erratic, high variance teams that I hate handicapping games of down the stretch here in this season. Pittsburgh, I can see.
And the other one was the Bolts. I had the Bolts
because when a guy how do you have the guts and heart to quit as a team when you've got number 87 as your captain?
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
How are you going to look
at a lot of guys playing?
Say we're unquitting on the season when Sidney Crosby is our guy, our leader, our captain.
And you got a lot of guys playing for contracts there too, so they're going to be
right. Yeah,
and they're not making the playoffs. But I'm just saying that in terms of mailing it in, because they're not making the playoffs.
Yeah,
the last 2 nights have shown maybe don't expect that every single. They're still going to have their bad nights, but it's not going to be every night that they get whipped. It's not every night that they're going to lose. There's going to be some. And right now, Tristan Jarry's found a second wind here, a second life.
Yeah,
he has played pretty solid in these 2 games against Minnesota, and then of course. Last night against Vegas.
There could be some value in Pittsburgh against other bad teams. But at the same time, we can't look to back Pittsburgh against the best teams because those might be the nights where they end up getting crushed.
Yeah, no question. Good stuff. All right, let's go down. Let's get into the Wednesday card. We got 4 games. Buffalo and the struggling Detroit Red Wings. With every loss, their playoff. Well, they're still in the mix. They're right there, but they got to start turning this around. And it has to start tonight. There's no such thing as I agree with Todd there. There's no such thing as a must win at this stage because you got more games and you're not out if you lose tonight. But boy, do your playoff hopes really take a significant hit if you lose tonight. You got to win this. This is Buffalo coming in. It's a team you're better than. You've got to win. Got to get it done. Will they? That's the question. Detroit minus 145 home favorites, 6.5 being the total in this game. They did play well enough to win against Ottawa. There's no doubt. I mean, they almost doubled Ottawa in shots. In fact, they did double up the Ottawa Senators in shots. The difference was Linus Ullmark, who showed why he was a Vezina Trophy winner. He was just absolutely spectacular in that game for the Ottawa Senators, robbing Detroit of at least a point, if not 2, with that 2-1 Detroit Red Wings loss to the Ottawa Senators. They'll be looking to bounce back here. They need this big time in this. Yeah, this team makes me drink, Jarek says. Yeah, Jarek's got big money on Detroit. We know that all too well. And he's hoping for a little bit of a hot streak here from the Wings. He wants these Wings to turn into some hot wings now, hot and spicy here. And unfortunately, they have not been delivering that here necessarily as of late. But right now, I mean, there's a game you got to get. The one thing I will say for Detroit tonight is that it will be the debut of Peter Mrazek. Well, it's actually the return of Peter Mrazek to the Detroit Red Wings. He will start tonight. I think that's a spark, something to maybe boost the morale of this team a little bit. Now, Mrazek has had some inconsistencies this year, but this is going to be, for the first time all year, him coming on a team and starting a game that really does matter significantly. So, he'll be fired up for it. There's no question. Not only returning to Detroit and making this start, but the fact that, again, he used to be with this team. They're in the middle of a big playoff race. I mean, this is definitely the kind of thing that's going to have him certainly amped up to play well here in this game. And it's not so much that I'm fully on board with trusting Mrazek to play awesome. It's that he can't be any worse than the two goalies he's starting instead of tonight, Talbot and Lyon, with what we have seen from both of them lately. So I think that gives Detroit a little bump early here in this game. Buffalo coming off Buffalo with a nice win against Edmonton, 3-2, but they did get outshot 34-23. There was the bells of St. Mary's, as the great Leaf voice on radio, Joe Bowen, would say. The bell, whenever they hit the goalpost, he says the bells of St. Mary's are going off. The bells of St. Mary's were going off behind Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen the other night, because Edmonton hit like 6 posts, or else they could have tied that game or won it. So yes, Buffalo played better and they won. They got a lot of good fortune as well. The posts were on their side the other night against the Edmonton Oilers. What else do we know about Buffalo off a win? They're not very good in that role. This is not a team that you've often been able to trust to win back-to-back games. I like Detroit here. I'm going to bet Detroit, but I'm going to do it in a bunch of different ways. We're going to go with the Detroit first period puck line, Detroit team total in the first period. Look, I think it's got to be hit the gas pedal early, get the lead early, play with the lead for a change. That's been another issue for Detroit. They've always been playing from behind. Get the lead early here in this game. I think they will. I think they'll be a little bit juiced up with Mrazek making his first start with the team. We know the offense is there. And look, they had 50 shots against Ottawa and 1 goal. We know the offensive talent most nights, if they're going to get 50 shots, they're going to get more than 1 goal with DeBrincat and Larkin and Kane and Lucas Raymond. Now, Lucas Raymond does have to get going. He's been very quiet lately for the Detroit Red Wings, so they do need a little bit more from him. But I think these are good looks here. Detroit first period puck line, is a solid price. When you look at it, you're going to get plus money on that. And of course, our good friends at BetMGM, which is always where I recommend betting the period team totals because you get good prices there at that book with them. And you can also bet half goal increments. That's the way I would go with that. Again, you could bet over 1 and over 1.5 with the team total for the Detroit Red Wings in the first period. You can bet the first period, the over 1 at a plus price, and then you could go for the over 1.5 for the Red Wings team total in the first period at an even bigger plus price. So I think both of those are worth a sprinkle, along with, as I said, that Detroit first period puck line in this game, which is as high as plus 170 right now at Pinnacle for that Detroit first period puck line. Those are the looks I like the most. You could talk me into Detroit team total over full game. I probably will take some of that too, 3.5 at plus money. But I like the early looks in the first 20 minutes of this game just a little bit more than the full game. Perlo, we'll start with you on this one. What do you think? Buffalo, Detroit.
I like, the only thing is Detroit hasn't been very good at first periods as of late, and the Buffalo Sabres have. But I do agree with you. They're going to come out hard in the first. I'm a little the Mrazek thing. I was actually kind of hoping to get a little bit on Alex here because he's great with goaltenders. But the Mrazek thing, I think he could be a little shaky early, and I think Buffalo is probably going to come in with some confidence beating the Oilers the last game. The other thing is, yeah, they're not good on back-to-backs, but one thing they have been good at is if they go through long losing streaks, they're good. They win usually the next game after they win. They do a lot of that. So I'm in a tough spot here. I don't like taking teams that have gone through long losing streaks and then win again. But what I do think is Buffalo will score 2 in this period, in the first period. So I like both teams to score in the first period here.
All right.
I think 2-1 exact score might be going on what you said would be a really good look there. Also, I'm sprinkling on the draw here. I think Detroit will shoot a lot, but I also think they need it more than Buffalo by a long shot. They're not used to being in these spots for a long time now where they actually are in a playoff spot this late. So they're holding their stick a little tight. You saw it with Ottawa. They had all those shots, but they were shooting right at the goaltender. And I think with Luukkonen kind of feeling good right now.
Even Patrick Kane, he was always trying to go fucking short side all night on Linus Ullmark all night long. It's like, Pat, let's try a little something different. Let's go top corner. Let's go the opposite side of the goalie for a change. Why are we always going short side? And I love it. He's a legend, Hall of Famer, Stanley Cup champ. I know that, but I got to come after him for that. Let's vary up our shot attempts a little bit.
Yeah. So I like the Detroit team total over, but I'm a little bit unsure. I'm going to sprinkle on that too, but just because of what I just said, maybe it doesn't get there. Because they're shooting right at Luukkonen. I like Luukkonen over saves for that very reason. But I'm not going to put a lot on that because they've been riding him quite a bit. And he could be getting tired right here too. So you might actually hit that. But I am going to take a shot at the draw here. I think that it could end up being a draw. The Sabres coming off that, feeling confident over the Oilers. Detroit holding their stick tight. I could see it happening that we see a draw, and I am taking Detroit money line either way, though, because if it does go into overtime, how about we go this? If it goes into overtime, I never thought about this till right now. Kane to score the last goal. I think Kane that'll be the time. Big show.
Those overtime
put it away. Yep. Kane to score the last goal too. I'll go with that as well.
It's funny you mentioned that because I mentioned that bet. I had it yesterday with the Adam Fantilli in Columbus going the game to go to overtime. You can grab Patrick Kane to score the overtime winner, so game to reach overtime, and him as the OT goal scorer, plus 6,500 at FanDuel.
There we go.
That is a bet. That is around.
Let's hit that. Right on.
That is a good price. That really that definitely is a good price.
That's the other thing. It could be Reimer here too. It hasn't been.
Not confirmed yet.
Not confirmed yet. You think? I mean, because that's the thing I'm looking at. With UPL, I'm like, do they even have another goalie in Buffalo? Because I'm looking at his game log is literally the Sabres game log. As many games as he's played down the stretch here, they've been, like I said, just riding him quite a bit. And if you throw him in here against the Wings team that is hungry and desperate, then maybe this game gets out of hand. So I like goals early here as well. But at minus $1.45, $1.50 with that first period over, I'm trying to wait for it. So the way I'm going to do this, I've been doing this a lot recently. Goal in first 5 minutes, I played that plus 155, and both teams to score like Perlo did. I got plus 148 on that. So I'll have both of those, and then if I don't cash that goal in the first 5 minutes, that's when I'll jump in and strike with the first period over. But I think this game could go back and forth. Like I said, draw is live in this one, so I'm staying off of a side for now. I could commit to a side. Maybe if it's 2-1 Sabres, then I can come back and grab Wings plus money. So this is one I'll be watching, and I'll be looking for some live spots as well.
By the way, that's a good one for Josh Norris. He's from that state. It's true, and he's going to get to play in his home state as a member now of the Buffalo Sabres, Josh Norris. So I don't mind that as far as a goal prop. I tried Peyton Krebs a couple games ago, and Jonathan Davis likes him plus 850. I kind of feel with Rico too. He's been ice cold now, but he was a guy that we cashed several times with when he was on a roll, and they kind of need his offense now. Marco Casper, the friendly betting ghost. He is someone that like I said, he's still on the second line. It's not like he's been dropped way down the lineup by Todd McClellan with the recent offensive issues. So, you're still playing with Kane and DeBrincat, it looks like tonight here in this game. So why not? At least a goal prop, assist prop, something like that. So worth a shot maybe to look in that direction with him from a ballot. Plus JJ Paterka left the game due to injury against Edmonton, didn't practice yesterday and may not go tonight. He hasn't been ruled out tonight, but he may not play. So keep an eye on the pregame skate. Who's going to fill that spot with Norris and Tage Thompson for the Buffalo Sabres on the top line if Paterka doesn't go? It might be Zucker. He'd be the natural choice probably.
I was just going to mention Zucker power play point as well. Detroit's power play isn't very good, and if Buffalo does score, it could be on the. So I like that as well. Also, if you want to protect yourself, and I've been doing pretty well because this has been a rough year. Shot props have been good for me. Cider has gone over 1.5, 9 out of 10, and Larkin in these spots, he shoots the moon. He'll probably get 7, and you can get him at 2.5. For like -157 right now. So those are a good way to protect yourself in case Buffalo does something crazy and wins this game.
Regarding the full game over, because I'm not on the full game over, I might bet a live over. Every game in Buffalo between these teams goes over. Every single one. And for a long time, every game, regardless of the venue, went over the total between these two teams. But lately, the games in Buffalo have kept going over the total. But the last 3 games in Detroit between these two teams have actually gone under. So that's something to keep in mind here. And that's the only reason I'm not on the full game over. Like I said, and the thing and that's exactly why I'm betting it this way. I don't want anything to do with -145 because I could see this being an overtime game like Perlo, and I don't want to be sweating out -145 in overtime with Detroit. So that's why I like the early looks. The first period puck line. I really like my favorite look on Detroit is for sure the team total in the first period, because that way I don't have to worry about the defense or Mrazek, even though I think he can be capable of playing well. I worry about the offense getting on the board quickly and early, and I think they can, and I think they will here tonight. That's why I like the Red Wings team total in the first period most of all in this game. All right, Vancouver, Calgary. This is another big one. That Buffalo-Detroit game, by the way, is the first of the TNT doubleheader tonight. Next up, we've got Vancouver-Calgary. This is not the second game of the TNT doubleheader, but it is on the Wednesday slate. Calgary -160, home favorites, 5.5 the total in this game. So I'm on Calgary, but I would not say bet it now. I mean, when I bet it, it was like overnight. I knew this spot was terrible for Vancouver. Late last night, losing to Montreal. And the only fear I have is they didn't play well. They played like horse shit for 2 periods in that game. And Tocchet kind of ripped them in the intermission. You can tell because they looked like a different team in the third period. Maybe they bring it tonight, but it's still a very difficult spot here. Late night last night, you're going to Calgary tonight for a 9 Eastern puck drop, 7 local time on a back-to-back. You're not playing very good hockey right now. You're going to probably see Arturs, she loves you, yeah. Arturs, she loves, potentially the Latvian kid in net for them tonight. And if it's him versus confirmed in net, who's coming off a shutout, by the way, for the Calgary Flames against Montreal, hungry like the wolf, Dustin Wolf, that's a mismatch. Simple as that in favor of Calgary from a goaltending standpoint. Rich is Mr. Canucks, but he's always given us great stats, whether they're for or against the Canucks. 1-6 on a back-to-back, the Canucks. Shelov's 1-6 in his last 7 starts. Yeah, so, the betting, hey, credit to the betting, the bettors out there, because this price opened at -135 on Calgary, and it's gone up to 20 cents to like -1. That's what I got, -135 with Calgary. I would say take Vancouver team total under right now. If you did not get the best price if you still want to fade Vancouver in this spot, the team total under is 2.5 -120. Do you really see Vancouver in their current offensive form against this goaltender struggling on back-to-backs against Calgary? Scoring 3 goals or more, it's difficult to envision that right now. So another option for you, if you don't like the -155 to -160 that you're seeing right now with Calgary and you missed the boat on the best money line price, you could always attack the team total and go Canucks team total under 2.5 here tonight. Alex, what do you think here, Vancouver, Calgary?
Yeah, I'm just thinking that over in my head because, it makes sense to go under, especially with the Wolf confirmed in net. I don't see where this game gets out of hand and turns into a boat race. So yeah, that would be the way to do that. But I went with Calgary in regulation. I got plus 110, which is still available at FanDuel. I see plus 109 at Pinnacle. So if you can find any plus prices on Calgary to win in regulation, that's the way to go. With that, I believe, like I said, even looking at a flat 3 at MGM, you still land a number there. So I'm just going to keep it simple. Yeah, Flames to win within 60.
Which is very possible. And obviously, there's a huge game in the standings. Obviously, these are two teams that are battling it out for that final Western Conference wild card spot. And just to update you guys on the updated standings up to the minute, right now we've got Calgary 70 points with the second wild card spot. Minnesota's clear of Calgary. Like Minnesota's got 78. So they are definitely I know Matt was saying in the chat, maybe they still might miss the playoffs. No, they're going to make the playoffs, Minnesota. They'd have to just absolutely collapse to miss the playoffs.
They still can miss the playoffs.
Yeah.
They still can miss the playoffs. It's the Minnesota Wild. They can still miss the playoffs.
That's not bad. But with Aaron Sprinkle, I don't mind that one bit. And those are always tough to cash, difficult as fuck, because he can play well and a fluke goal off a skate, off someone's backside, off someone's keister goes in, and there's nothing he can do about it, and there goes your shutout bet. But still, I think at that price, with the way he's playing and Vancouver scuffling offensively, Aaron, that's not a bad shot. Sprinkle on Dustin Wolf to get the shutout tonight.
Yeah, I don't bet them too often, but yeah, if you're looking at anything with a team total under or a quality goalie of this nature against a weaker offensive team, yeah, this would be the night to sprinkle maybe even just $5 on it, but something on Wolf shutout. I might do that.
If he gets it tonight, that would be back-to-back shutouts for Dustin Wolf.
He has the capability of doing it.
So. He does, no doubt. Perla, what did you do with this game? What are you doing here, Vancouver, Calgary?
Oh, it's funny you mentioned that Vancouver team total under. It was plus 100 last night. Plus 100. And I actually posted in the group. I was like, can you please tell me how this could possibly be plus 100? It's one of those things, like sometimes you look, you see a deal in the store and it's so good, you wonder what's wrong with the product. That is how I felt about seeing that plus 100. So I took it anyways. I couldn't find a line. Calgary versus their own division is 1-15 to the under. 15-1 to the under. 15-1 to the under. So if it's going to be under, it's just, I couldn't see any reason why. And I think Calgary's going to win, so I can't possibly see how it's going to be under. So I like that bet. I got that in there. I also got Calgary when you did at minus 135. And I'm going to throw a little sprinkle on this. And I did it for because I think Vancouver, like you said, they played hard at the end of the game last year. And I think they're going to play hard in the first period here as well. And Calgary's not known for their scoring in the first period very well. They usually catch up on teams later. They beat them up, they tire them out, and they score a couple late. So I'm going to go 0-0 exact score first period.
Right.
And I'm going to go 1-0 Calgary first period, exact score. Those two will give you like plus 300 or plus 400, depending on where you're looking.
It's plausible. I could see a slow start, maybe a 1-0 Calgary lead, because you're right. Calgary sometimes eases into games. I've seen this with Calgary, even at home, where it's scoreless. Look at the Montreal game; it was 1-0, and they didn't get that 1-0 goal till the second period. I think they got it, and then they just coasted into to the win, and Wolf did the rest. So
I'm seeing
0-0, 1-0 type first period correct score is
correct
plausible.
Score, yeah.
I'm seeing plus 350 for 0-0 tie, plus 440 for Calgary 1-0 after 20. So
yeah, plus 440. That's what I thought. Yeah, 350, 440, somewhere around there. So I'm going to sprinkle a little bit on both of those. Obviously, I will have the under 1.5 first period a little bit for the same reasons I just said. Under full game and Calgary money line. I'll even now that you mentioned, I'm going to put a little bit on Calgary in regulation too. So in game, I would probably look at Calgary if it is close like we think. Take a live bet on Calgary puck line second and puck line third, because the Canucks will probably lose their spirit later as this game goes on. We were just talking about it. Travel spots are really important right now with this condensed schedule, and this is a terrible travel spot for Vancouver. So
because it's adding up, it's not just that this is one bad spot. It's just on top of all the other shit and condensed games in a short period of time that you've had to deal with prior to tonight. and it's adding up on the body. We're human beings. We're not robots. We're not computers, as the great Doc Emmerich would always say. This game's played by humans, not machines. He'd always say, talking about, when someone got injured. That was always a great line of his. Yeah. But no doubt, that's what we have to remember. And they're going to be feeling it, in spots like this when you've been playing a shit ton of hockey lately. No question about that. All right, Anaheim and Utah. We've got Utah minus 280 home favorites, 6 the total in this game. So the big, I guess, news regarding this game is that, first of all, Karave Malka's confirmed in net. That should not shock anybody that he's in between the pipes for Utah. He's been very good lately. Big and a part of the reason, along with the fact they've gotten healthy and they've started to get their offense going, that they are right back in the playoff mix right now. I actually forgot to mention these standings. I was in mid-sentence, but Vancouver 70, Calgary 70, Vancouver 69. So Vancouver's 1 point behind Calgary going into that big game tonight. So that tells you how huge it is as far as in the standings, that head-to-head matchup. And Utah is right there as well, the Utah Hockey Club. They are at 67 points, 2 behind Vancouver and St. Louis, 3 behind Calgary, who hold the second and final wild card spot in the Western Conference. So it's absolutely a big game for them here tonight. Every game moving forward is for them. So what we do know coming into this game is that Anaheim's on the back-to-back. They had the 7-4 loss to Washington at home last night. It was a rough defensive effort. They gave up 42 shots. Yes, Dostal, that's a bad stat line, but they hung him out to dry. It wasn't all on him last night as far as the 7 that were put past the net mine. Actually, 6 were put past him. The 7th was a empty net goal. So it's back-to-back here for the Anaheim Ducks. Now, there's a big question about who the hell is going to be in net for them, because for various reasons. We know John Gibson's been injured and he's been unavailable, but it looks like he might be available. And if he is, he's probably going to end up starting here tonight. If he still cannot go, and because they haven't ruled him in for sure yet, Ville Husso would maybe get his first start with the Anaheim Ducks tonight. Now, this is something you're going to want to watch for because it changes the handicap significantly. Husso means this is probably an over by Fecta for me, quite honestly, this game, Anaheim and Utah. But if it's not Husso and it's Gibson, not saying I wouldn't bet the total, but it would pump the brakes a little bit for me, at least, with overs in this game. But, pregame, Utah's offense is humming. The 3.5 is appealing. Even if it's Gibson, I might get there with it. One thing about Utah is, talked about this multiple times now on the show. It's just what a difference when you suddenly have a healthy blue line. You've got Dursey and Sergachev. For a long time, they both weren't in at the same time. They've been that way lately. They've obviously got Cooley and Gunther. Both of those guys healthy finally, playing at the same time. They're a different offensive team now, better offensive team, obviously, as a result, going into this game. You look at Utah entering this matchup tonight against Anaheim. What they've been able, when they've been able to score goals lately. They had the 6 goals against Minnesota, 4 goals against Detroit. They lost the last 2 against Chicago in overtime and Toronto in a shootout. Scored only 3 goals in that game. But against this Anaheim team on a back-to-back, and here's another thing to factor in with Anaheim. When you look at the fact that 3 of their last 4 losses, they have given up at least 4 goals in those games. So I'm probably moving on Utah's team total tonight over 3.5, minus 130, regardless of who's in net. But if it's Husso instead of Gibson for Anaheim, I'll probably tack on first period over, full game over by Fecta here as well. Alex, your thoughts here, Anaheim, Utah.
Yeah, so I have kind of 2 separate plans of attack based on goalie as well. If it's Gibson, I'm looking for over by Fecta in game. Looking for that, for 1.5 to come down toward plus money, and that 6 to turn into a 5.5. If it's Husso, then I'll be betting at BetMGM Utah combined with the over 5.5 plus 115, and I'll pregame bet over 1.5 minus 125 at Caesars. So that's the way I'm kind of splitting it up. Like I said, it depends on goalie here, but Utah should get some goals. I just worry about if it's Gibson, because this game just go back and forth. I don't want to side. This could just be a game that just gets kind of crazy. So I do like goals. I'm leaning toward the over, like I said, regardless. But how I'm attacking that, and like I said, I wouldn't be backing Utah money line with Gibson, but I would have that parlay combo if it's Husso in that big drop off in my numbers.
So Anaheim's 2-0 this year against Utah. Both identical final scores, 5-4. But Utah scored 4 goals in both games, even though they lost, which is
True,
I still like the team total over 3.5. And both games went past regulation. The game in Anaheim was 5-4 Ducks in overtime. The game in Utah was 5-4 Ducks in a shootout. Utah's gone to past regulation 2 in a row. I think I'm talking myself into just a tiny sprinkle on the draw here as well with Anaheim. Even with this being, the only concern is, gosh, this back-to-back for Anaheim. They're in the thin air altitude. It could give out on them in the third period, and boom, there goes your draw. And a 2-2 game turns into something like 5-2 Utah because Anaheim just runs out of gas in the elements here on a back-to-back in the altitude. But the draw certainly, I think, is still worth a sprinkle. Utah's gone to overtime twice in a row, and 2 previous meetings this year both went past regulation. Perlo, what are you doing with this one? Anaheim, Utah.
I got it. This is a weird game. Ducks are 3 games in 4 nights as well. They haven't been all that great on back-to-backs. Well, one thing I did notice when on back-to-backs is they have trouble scoring. It's and now you got, here's the thing, they played Washington. That was like a measuring stick game for them against Washington, and they didn't play all that bad, but they ended up losing real bad. And I just think this is a down spot for Anaheim. They're going into Utah. They had to leave home, go to Utah at night. Now they're playing a Utah team, and I don't think that they're feeling too good about themselves after that Washington loss. So
and they played hard, Anaheim, last night. They kept battling back every time Washington scored. Yep.
And that's a bad thing because they're going to be even more tired here. So this price was minus 220 last night. It's a lot of money's coming in on Utah, and it probably should. I took Utah minus 1.5 last night to cover that. But funny thing, and this is the reason why I haven't been doing too bad this year, I'm with you. If Anaheim does have enough legs and Utah is tight because they need this win so bad, they could outshoot Anaheim, and you could end up seeing a draw here anyways. The thing is Gibson, is he going to be okay if he's in? If it's Husso, I'm taking Utah minus 1.5 and team total over. I can't trust Husso worth a darn. I mean, he shows over and over and over again. He's just not very good. And so I'll take, it depends on the goaltenders here, but I'm going to take Utah team total over. I've got Utah minus 1.5 because I got it at a decent price, and I'm just putting a little bit on all of these. And at the very least, I should end up either close to even or a little bit in the green or a little bit down. It's one of those games where you just throw a few darts out there to cover your butt.
Yeah, there's definitely, and I've been doing that a lot more the last 2 years, finding multiple ways to bet the kind of stances you are looking at in a certain game. Like last night with Winnipeg, I had team total over 3.5, but you know what saved me? Also having Winnipeg in regulation. Whereas if I put everything on Winnipeg team total over 3.5, I get nothing out of that game, nothing. So because I had some on Winnipeg in regulation, we basically break even in that game. So it's a big difference. So that's why, here in this game, Utah over 3.5, Utah puck line, just different way, because maybe it is 3-1 tonight, but maybe it's 6-2, and you cash both. So
you can see a lot of things happening there.
100%. And by the way, I want to mention there's 2 people in our chat I see that have birthdays, and they're both good people. Alan Trimble has been, I think, watching this show, listening to this show for many years, and of course Aaron, who goes without saying, he's in our betcasts all the time. Bruins fan. Both of you, happy birthday!
Happy birthday!
And all the best. Many more great years, hopefully ahead.
Cheers.
Yeah, guys, don't even compare putting your age in the chat. What age you are in the chat, your social insurance and your credit card number. We're finding out who's sensitive about their age right now. And you're comparing, I can't put my age. What do you want? My credit card now? My social insurance number? My social security number? I mean, my goodness. I mean, come on. The age,
just being goofy in the chat.
Is just a number. You give that shit out, then you're playing with fire with the credit card and the security number. There's no comparison.
Everybody's just being goofy in the chat with that. They just ran with, he's asking how old everybody was, and we're just like, wait, all this information.
I'll give you my transit number and bank account number and all that stuff. Yeah. Just give it right out there. Yeah. And then you could basically take me for all I'm worth right now. And after these last 2 days in the NHL, not worth
not much.
You gotta laugh when you're having a little up and down with the like we are here. All right. Next up, Final game of this card, we've got Montreal and Seattle. Seattle minus 145, home favorites, 6 the total here in this game, shaded to the over. Now, this game's there's no friggin' way I'm betting Seattle at this price, but I will admit, for Montreal, it's a leery spot. It's been a lot of travel. They've gone through the gauntlet of Western Canada, and now you wrap it up on a back-to-back in Seattle here tonight against the Kraken. Huge rest advantage for the Seattle Kraken in this game tonight. I feel a little leery about that. And Montreal's been pretty good to me since the Four Nations break. The one thing I've really nailed since the Four Nations break is saying the break came at the right time for Montreal, and watch this team maybe go on a run. One last push to try to get back into the playoff race, and they've done that. This run has put them back into the playoff race, the Montreal Canadiens, where they have gone, what is it now, 6-2 in 8 games since the Four Nations break. And the only losses were by the hairs of the chinny chin chin. Overtime to Edmonton, and then 1-0 to Calgary, where Dustin Wolf was phenomenal in that game. So we'll see how this one plays out. They're off the big 4-2 win against Vancouver. Rich is throwing out some stats that do point to maybe Montreal could still get it done here. Seattle 4-8 on 2 days rest, which they have here. Seattle 4-8 on 2 days rest. Montreal's got a winning record on a back-to-back, 6-4-1. So that gives me a little pause to say, hey, maybe it's definitely a lean Montreal. Let me just put it that way. I'm not laying a price with Seattle. We know Montreal is the better team, and we know Seattle is not playing well. Seattle just 2-5, I should say, in their last 7 games. Their only 2 wins were Philly and Vancouver. They lose to St. Louis, Tampa Bay, Minnesota, Nashville, Washington. Even their home record, Climate Pledge, has not been great. Montreal's actually got more road wins than Seattle has home wins this season. So, yeah, I mean, I like I said, right from the get-go, the price being what it is, plus 125, I lean Montreal. The situation is kind of tough for them. It's the end of this trip. I believe they do go back home after this, Montreal. Let me just check. Yes, they do, and they play Florida on Saturday night, returning home. And it was a good win, big win last night. But obviously Seattle, even with the rest advantage, I don't trust them. I don't like them at minus 145. Montreal is the better team. And as Rich is pointing out, Montreal's back-to-back record is actually better than Seattle's 2 days rest record this season, which is obviously what they have coming into tonight, because Seattle last played on Sunday night against the Sunday afternoon, rather, against the Washington Capitals. And that was the end of a road trip that ended in the East Coast for Seattle as well, those last 2 games against Philly and Washington. So I'm leaning Habs, and I'm leaning a little bit more to the Habs after really thinking it through here. That's where I'm at. I haven't bet it yet, and I'm actually waiting for goal lineup confirmations. What we do, and especially for Seattle, who's going to be in net? Is it going to be Joey Decord, or are they going to give Philip Grubauer, another shot? He was pretty solid in his first game, but again, he's not a guy I trust. And he's Jari and Grubauer are these 2 reclamation projects. Jari's looked good with his reclamation project, but we'll see about Grubauer. And Robert Oliver Karlsson, I was going to save it for later, but yeah, the cat's out of the bag. Shane Wright game all the way. We talk about how Montreal kind of passed on drafting him and the little stare down he gave them, and at the draft. I mean, they blew it out of proportion, but, I think he kind of felt like he was going to get drafted and didn't. And now a chance to dish out some payback. He'll get up to play Montreal for sure. So, yeah, Shane Wright props make 100% sense to me. Alex, final game, what do you think here? Montreal, Seattle.
It wasn't that like 3 fucking years ago?
I know, it's kind of like move on with your life. I get it.
I mean, I remember making that note when that happened and thinking he was going to make the team as a rookie, and then he didn't. Yeah, so maybe that. It's worth a shot. It's worth a shot. But I like the Habs here. Like I said, we've just been riding them. They've been the hottest team in my pocket the last couple of weeks, where some teams just haven't been cashing. So plus 125, I think this is a good spot. Great price. And here's the thing: I played it small because I'm looking to add a little bit more on, because a note from our friend Jonathan. Jakub Dobeš has given up the first goal of the game.
Yep.
9 of his last 11 starts. So I'm playing this half unit on Montreal pregame, And then if that should happen again, Seattle takes a 1-0 lead, we'll just dump the other half unit right on Montreal at a bigger price.
No doubt. And by the way, I should point out, too, with Montreal in Seattle, they've won 2 of the 3 since Seattle came into the league here at Climate Pledge Arena. In fact, 2 in a row here in Seattle. Montreal has been victorious, 4-2 against Seattle, December 6th, 2022. And then last year, March 24th, 5-1 for Montreal over Seattle in this building. So Montreal's won 2 in a row here at Climate Pledge Arena against the Kraken. Perlo, what do you think here? Canadians, Kraken.
Yeah, I talked a lot about bad travel spots, and then here you got Montreal in a terrible travel spot. The thing is, the heart of the Montreal Canadiens, St. Louis, man. Like, I just want to say this: if they did happen to make the playoffs, you got to give this guy Coach of the Year. This is unbelievable what he's done with this team. You kind of got to ride it, but I think Seattle also is going to want to play for their fans here. They're going to have a little more legs than Montreal. I think this could be a grinded out type game. So I'm going to go a little bit on the draw here, plus 310, and go draw and dog. Can't trust Seattle. That is depending on if it's Grubauer in net or not. If it's Grubauer in net, I think Montreal definitely is going to come out hard in the first. They're going to really want to get up early because they know their legs are going to start to fall off late. And that's kind of why I like the draw here. If Montreal does get up early, their legs could lose their legs and Seattle could come back in this game. What was I saying about that? I was just saying the draw. I said something about the first period. If they get up early, they're good. Yeah. So I like
if it's Grubauer. Yeah.
If it's Grubauer. Because I think Montreal come out hard. Grubauer is Grubauer, and they could get up early here. So maybe a little bit on Montreal first period. I could see, because that would be the spot where I really think they're going to get it. So Montreal first period puck line will probably give you a crazy number. So I would go with that. If Gruby's in net, you never know when he's going to let goals in. He can let goals at any time. And he did play well, pretty well the last game, but I'm not banking on that again, especially actually, he's played a little better at home. However, I'm going to take Dobish to be able to shut it down in the first period, especially. So I'll take Montreal puck line first period, reverse puck line first period. I'm going to take a draw on this and Montreal full game.
There we go. So a draw, Montreal first period puck line, with them.
Reverse puck line, yeah.
Yeah, the -0.5 for an even better price than what you're seeing with the.
Put a little bit on both. Money line's probably about +100, but a little bit on the puck line.
Yeah. All right. Good stuff. That's not a bad approach. No doubt about that. All right. That's it. And like I said, Shane Wright props. I will say, like I said, I say this over and over again with Montreal, but Caulfield, Slavkovsky, and Suzuki are really playing well. And there's nothing wrong with, being able to take them as far as, Seattle, you're right, in Montreal, 8-2, October 29th. That's another thing to factor in. Revenge spots are overrated to me, but when it's that kind of a revenge spot, that earlier this season, Seattle just dummied Montreal at the Bell Center 8-2 back in October, that maybe does matter a little bit.
I bet you Montreal is thinking more about that game than Shane Wright's thinking about Montreal.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
So,
here's the other thing about that draw. If Montreal is down, they're going to waste every breath they have in the third and probably are going to be able to score against Montreal. Seattle.
There we go. It's interesting because you're right. The first period Montreal look makes sense. The momentum from last night before they start to, maybe peter out a little bit at the end on a back-to-back. But at the same point in time, that goes heads up with the Dobish giving up the first goal, which is
maybe both teams
that's
score.
A tough one. Yeah.
Maybe both teams score is a way to go. Yeah, I'm going to sprinkle a little bit on
and a lot of times lately, it's been early that Dobish has given up that first goal. So we'll see if that happens tonight. But that's why I'm only going.
I'll add that in as well, Perlo, for both teams to score.
Both teams
plus 162. Yeah.
There we go. Both teams to score. That sounds like a good one. And over 1.5 first period. Why not?
Great stuff and another great show. We really love it. Shout out to Perlo. Great stuff again from him here on this edition of the Ice Guys. And shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. Great shows. I mean, having Maddie and Ryan Robinson yesterday, both on the show. Perlo today. I think Matt will be back tomorrow. Ryan's going to be back on Saturday. So definitely looking forward to that. We're also looking forward, and our Patreon members too, to our next Ice Guys Patreon exclusive live betcast, Tuesday, March 25th. There you have it on Patreon. Make sure you sign up if you haven't already. Patreon.com/IceGuys, just $10 a month. Become a Patreon member. You'll have access to our goalie charts, totals charts, daily betting card, sides, totals, and player props posted each and every day on the Patreon page. And of course, all our bonus content, including the Ice Guys exclusive live betcasts. We've got one more in March. We've got a ton, and many that will be exclusive to Patreon members only in April and beyond, late in the regular season and into the Stanley Cup playoffs. So make sure you sign up. It's just $10 per month. Your subscription goes a long way to supporting the show. So make sure you get on board. $10 per month, patreon.com/IceGuys.
Also, check out the Ice Guys store, iceguys.myspreadshop.com. We've got all the new merch in stock right now. Like I said, weather's getting nice and warm where I am here in Minnesota. I know, Ian, you said it was getting nice where you are too. So it's springtime right here. It's blooming, and now's the time to maybe get a new cap, get a new hoodie, get a new T-shirt. You get all that right now at the Ice Guys store. That's iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
All right, make sure you check it out, the Ice Guys store, get that gear and merch. All right, we got Bargain Bin Special of the night and Best Bets coming up in just a moment, right after we hear from our great Ice Guys sponsors.
Support for the Ice Guys podcast is provided by Boston Hemp Incorporated, Tailgaters Social, and a big thank you to all that subscribe to the Ice Guys Patreon page. Everyone loves a perfect pair. Bacon and eggs. Thunder and lightning. Mario and Luigi. A hot dog with fries. Ian and Alex B. That's right. Everyone loves a perfect pair. So why not pair up your game nights with Boston Hemp? From exotic flower to concentrates and edible products. You'd be hard-pressed to find a better pairing than Boston Hemp and hockey. Check them out today at bostonhempinc.com. That's bostonhempinc.com. Boston Hemp Incorporated, the official smoke sponsor of the Ice Guys. Void where prohibited by law. Not available outside of the United States. Must be 21 or over to obtain products. Check your local regulations to see if Boston Hemp is available in your area.
Shout out to all our great sponsors, including Boston Hemp Inc. Get 20% off all orders on the website using the promo code IceGuys at bostonhempinc.com. All right, Bargain Bin Special of the night. 4 games to choose from, Alex. Where are you headed for the Bargain Bin?
Yeah, let's go to that late game with Montreal and Seattle. Like I said, one guy that's been a huge point producer for Montreal all season long has been Lane Hudson. Now, he's been getting it done with the assists. I'm going to take a shot at him to try and get a goal tonight. You get plus 700 at FanDuel. That's Lane Hudson, anytime goal scorer for the Habs, taking on Seattle tonight. That's my Bargain Bin Special for Wednesday.
All right, Bargain Bin Special. Maybe a nice night because I don't believe he had a point last night in the game against Vancouver, even though they scored 4 goals. So a rare night without a point for Hudson last night. Maybe it means he gets on the score sheet tonight and possibly with a goal as well. So Lane Hudson from Montreal for Alex B. Smith with his Bargain Bin Special of the night. Perlo, Bargain Bin Special of the night. What do you like?
Yeah, if I'm right and the Ducks' legs start to fall off there in Utah, they have a terrible penalty kill record, and they're probably going to start chasing Utah. There could be a lot of penalties go Utah's way as they hold and try to grab onto people. And Barrett Hayton has had 5 power play points in the last 5 games. You can get that at plus 300. Just gets in there. And also, for the heck of it, why not? We're having fun here. I'm going to take that Kane play. 6,500 to score in overtime. I like that one, man. That's good. That's good value for Big Show, man, for sure.
There you go. I like it. Taking the big shot at 65 to 1.
65 to 1
for overtime on that one. Good price, that's for sure. All right, my bargain bin special of the night. Like I said, I kind of revealed it a little early. Shane Wright, Seattle, plus 340 at BetMGM. Best price available. Not only has he been playing well and scoring and producing for Seattle, but then it's the whole Montreal as the opponent. And I'm sure he'll play hard, he'll play well, and we'll see if he can find the back of the net here for the Seattle Kraken tonight. Plus 340, Seattle and Shane Wright for my bargain bin special of the night. All right, best bets for this Wednesday. Alex, we'll start with you. What do you like for best bet?
Now that I talk shit about it, I'm going to have to tail you on Shane Wright to score a goal tonight. Let's go for best bet. Stay in Canada. We're going with Calgary. To taking on Vancouver. It's a big game, so I like them and winning within 60. So regulation, you can get that plus $1.10 still available at FanDuel. That's the best price for Calgary to win in regulation against Vancouver. Big game tonight. Looking for Dustin Wolf to maybe shut the door once again and help their team try to get into the playoffs. Calgary Flames in regulation is my Wednesday best bet.
All right, Calgary in regulation. Best bet for Alex B. Smith. Perlo, best bet.
Yeah, I like that too, but I'm going to take that Vancouver team total under. 15 and 1 to the under against the division, and this is going to be a playoff-like matchup, so scoring is going to be tough to begin with, and Wolf and net and on and on and on. I don't see Vancouver getting more than 2 goals in this game, so that's going to be my best bet for today.
All right, there you go. A good best bet there for Perlo for this Wednesday, and my best bet for this Wednesday NHL card. Let me just see here. You know what? It's crazy. BetMGM's crashed for me, and that's where I bet it. Unbelievable. Because I was going to use it. This is going to be site maintenance issues are keeping me from using a best bet that I want to use right now because I can't check it. So I'm going to go with Detroit, but I'll go team total because I can find that because Odd Stamp can give me the best price. So we'll go with that. I like the first period team total for Detroit over 1 a lot. But I will use the full game because I think they'll get 4 tonight. I do. We'll go with the full game here for the best bet. Detroit Red Wings team total over 3.5. You can find that at plus 105. Best price out there. It's very good price for that full game Detroit Red Wings team total. So there you go. Detroit Red Wings team total over 3.5 plus 105.
I have MGM open. So what did you want for the first period? What price were you looking for?
Over 1. First
over 1, that's plus 120.
Plus 120.
Plus 120 at BetMGM.
All right, let's go with that. I do like that more than the full game over. So there we go. So it's maybe it's a Canadian BetMGM site issue. Must be. Okay. There we go. Okay, we'll change it to first period team total over for Detroit because I do think they come out strong. They need to. They have to. And Buffalo we know is a little flighty, especially off a win. So Detroit team total over 1 plus 120 and. Obviously, if they get 1 goal in the first period, it pushes. But I think they've got a real chance to get 2 goals in the opening period tonight of this game. So Detroit, team total over 1 plus 120 is going to be my best bet here for this Wednesday slate. Perlo, great stuff. Great job again on the show. We'll continue to get you back on a recurring basis as the season goes on. And shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button on the way out. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Alex B. Smith and for Perlo, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Wednesday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we will be back with you tomorrow on Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern for another edition of the Ice Guys.